Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Classic Games Done Quick. My name is SmoothOperative, and I will be taking over hosting duties in place of Darkman. So, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to keep on rolling with The Legend of Zelda by rcdrone. So, RC, whenever you'd like to start, we can.
All right, I'll just count it down right now. So
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh no, well, go. So I'm RC Drone. I've been playing this game for a few years now, mostly this category, just grinding, optimizing. Here in the booth with me is Fiskbit, who's our resident technical expert, Zelda. He knows the code probably better than anyone, more or less than Fred maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe he can attest to that. So I just did a screen scroll there if Fisk wants to talk about how that works.
Yeah, so basically, after we get the wooden sword, that's kind of where the similarities to the 2010 AGDQ run end. We immediately start using that screen scroll glitch, which is the main glitch in the speed run, which lets Link wrap from one side of the screen to the other. And mainly this speeds up travel in the overworld, and we can also use it to clip through diagonal block barriers in dungeons, which lets us skip some combat. But it doesn't allow any sequence breaking, it just cuts down on some combat and travel time. In level 3 here, our biggest concern at the start was getting a bomb in that first room there. We try to get it from the red dark nut, which has a 41% chance of dropping the item. We know that if it does drop the item, it will be a bomb, and if it doesn't drop a bomb, usually that's a reset point in a normal run. Here we have a red dark nut room where we're trying to clear 5 dark nuts, ideally with 1 bomb. This one can be kind of difficult. The enemies move in a semi-random way, and so we generally know the directions that enemies can move in, but we don't know if an enemy will actually make a turn or not. And dark nuts in particular are kind of challenging because they block any attack that's facing them. So when you place a bomb, that bomb is actually facing in the direction it was placed. So if you're facing left and you place a bomb, it's facing left, and if the dark nut is facing right, then that dark nut won't take any damage from that bomb. So now we have the raft. That's a required item for getting to level 4. And we're headed to the level 3 boss now, Manhandla. We're trying to have good resource counts, so right now we have 8 bombs. That's perfect. That's the maximum we can hold right now, and bombs are key for clearing Manhandla. Manhandla is a pretty random boss, and so you might end up in a situation where you run out of bombs on Manhandla, you have to try to clear it with your sword, and that's very likely to end in a reset. So let's see how this boss goes here. 5 bombs is a pretty good count going in here. But the boss is unfortunately being a pain.
Oh my goodness.
Alright. Thankfully, we cleared them. 1 bomb left, so that's good. We can use bombs to manufacture additional bombs using the game's forced item drop system. And so the way that works is that if you kill 10 enemies in a row without getting hit, then that 10th enemy will drop a 5 rupee item. And so we use this constantly throughout the run to generate the money that we need. Both bombs and rupees are critical. If you kill that 10th enemy with a bomb instead of any other weapon, then it will drop a bomb item instead of a 5 rupee. If you watch a speedrunner playing this game, you'll often notice that they're counting to 10 all the time. That's because they want to know where those bomb drop opportunities are. And they also try to kill certain numbers of enemies in certain rooms to ensure that they can get a bomb at certain points. So here we're hoping to get a bomb. Oh, okay, so our counts are not very good right now. And I suspect that RC is probably going to try to get a bomb in... but he might do it in the soul room here. Yeah, I think that's what he's setting up for now. Is that right, RC?
I'm going to change my mind. I'm good. Well, I think I'm at 9 right now.
Okay. Yeah, if you're
I want to kill 2 enemies at once just in case. Give myself a better chance at this.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you're counting along with the run, you might find that you actually have trouble at times where you think that it's a 10 count and it's not. And it's because there are lots of edge cases in the game's item drop system. Like maybe you kill an enemy and it counts as 2 kills, or you kill an enemy and it doesn't count as any kills. When you kill one of these Zols, the kind of jelly-like enemy there, it can count as a kill even when the enemy is splitting apart into 2. So like nothing died, but it still counts as a kill. So there are lots of places where things can be weird. That room that he was just in with the likes and the Zols is affectionately known as the breakfast room, because the likes look like pancakes and the Zols, I guess, look like jellies. So we have 4 bombs now. That's good. We need 2 bombs more in order to clear this dungeon, and having, again, more than 0 bombs is always good to manufacture them with the forced item drop system. If you get down to 0 bombs, then that can be a problem, because you have to rely on the random item drops. It's a 41% chance on bomb dropping enemies that you'll get a bomb, assuming that you're actually in the right place there's a global kill counter. So you need to be in the right place on this kill counter in order to be able to get a bomb from an enemy. 1 bomb here is not great. We're heading into the Gleeok fight. This fight requires 16 sword slashes on the Gleeok's heads, and it can be a challenge because the timing of the fireball that the Gleeok shoots out is random. Now, thankfully, you know that when there's a fireball on the screen, it can't launch another fireball, but once that one disappears, a fireball could come at any time. You see RC is trying really hard to not get hit here. He hit the flying head with a bomb, and every single frame that bomb is hitting the head actually counts as a kill. And so he built up to a 10 count on that head and was able to force a bomb drop off of the boss. So normally you would not see a bomb drop off of the boss like that, but there's another edge case in the drop system. So at this point, we're heading to level 1. We have 20 rupees right now, and we need to get to 30 rupees shortly after completing level 1 in order to purchase a blue candle, which is required for entering level 8 later on. So we're hoping to get some rupee drops off these red levers here. They're in the money group, and so they're likely to drop 5 rupee items. We didn't get lucky there. We're entering level 1 now, and you'll see that he exits and re-enters level 1, and that's because the first screen of level 1 has a locked door at the top, and this trick opens that door. What's happening there is that when you enter a room in Zelda, the game will open the door that you're walking through. This is because the door that you're entering through could be a shutter door, and if it's a shutter door, it needs to be open for you, and then it will close after you once you enter the room. When you leave through the bottom of that room, the game thinks you entered the next room from the top, and it preserves that when you enter and re-enter the dungeon, or leave and re-enter the dungeon, and so the locked door gets opened up when you enter, because it thinks you entered the room from the top. Bombs and money are both looking really good now, so we don't have to worry about money for a while. We've got plenty for the blue candle, and 6 bombs is quite a few. We'll need some for opening up caves on the overworld, and then we'll be headed to level 5, where we need a lot of bombs for the recorder room, which is a very challenging room, one of the major reset points in the run.
Yeah, I'm still going to want to farm another bomb pack. I finally got drops in this dungeon. I haven't been getting any drops at all. So I finally got a 5 rupee and a bomb drop here, which kind of solved my resource problems.
Yeah, this room here, this Red Guerrilla room, is where you can get the wooden boomerang. That item is totally skipped in the speed run. It could potentially be useful in a few places, but it takes time to kill the enemies to pick it up, and then actually using the item would require time to select it in the menu, so it's just not worth it to pick it up. And yeah, we're doing great on money.
Yeah.
Alright, so now we're headed into the overworld. We'll be picking up a heart container and 30 rupees that we're past the 60 rupee threshold that we need for the blue candle. We're collecting heart containers, in part because it does make the speedrun easier. It gives you more health to work with, so that's more opportunity to survive mistakes. But also, you want at least 12 heart containers so that you can pick up the magical sword later in the run. The magical sword does 4 times the damage of the basic sword that you start with. So it speeds up the late game combat significantly, and several of those late game dungeons are very combat heavy. If you watch the tool assisted speedrun, you'll see that they stick with the wooden sword the entire time, because as a tool assisted speedrun, they can manipulate the enemies to make everything very fast. They end up using bombs for most of their combat.
Yeah, a lot of pretty 2-bomb blue dark nut clear rooms.
Yep, yeah, blue dark nuts have 8 health, and so that's 8 stabs with the basic sword, but you can clear them with 2 bombs. Each of those do 4 damage. So up here we pick up the blue candle, and then we'll be doing a screen scroll to get over to level 5. Normally to get to level 5 you'd have to climb a very tall mountain, which requires going up staircases and all that. It's very slow, but this lets us get there very quickly.
So I'm at a count where I'm going to try to farm the consecutive 10 drop in what we call Fort Gibdo, which is this room coming up. All you have to do is bomb to the left and get through, but it's surprisingly difficult to do without taking damage, because these guys tend to be jerks. So that was a forced bomb, and there was a bomb already sitting in the Gibdo. So I am full on bombs right now. I won't be able to force in the Darknet room itself, but that's okay.
Yeah, a lot of the time you'll see runners try to get a count where they're at like 8 or 9 when they're entering the blue Darknet room. That means that they can spend a few bombs killing a Darknet or 2, and then they get to replenish their bombs. Yeah, so this is a challenging room, and there are a lot of resets here. One of the innovations in the last couple years is that we know a lot more about enemy targeting now. That was a great room.
Yeah, I lied. I could force a bomb there. So I cleared out all the keys in the basement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the game alternates between having all of the enemies target... well, all the enemies on the screen will target the same position. It alternates between having that position be Link, or a thing that we call anti-Link, which is like the mirror image position of Link on the screen. And so if you want all of the enemies to kind of converge into one spot, then you stand roughly in the center of the screen where Link and anti-Link are approximately equal. And so then they'll all kind of turn toward the center. And since they're clustered up, that makes it really easy to place a bomb that'll hit a lot of dark nuts at once.
That's a perfect pattern. So I'm doing pretty good on health right here. If I died to Dick Dogger, that would just be really silly. I have more than enough health to survive this boss fight coming up.
Yeah, so you've got 4 bombs right now, and that's more than people usually have here, because they usually place a bomb in order to automatically switch to the recorder, which is needed to clear this boss. So are you going to be keeping bombs coming out of this dungeon?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to the bombs. That'd be really silly to just drop 3 just to get to 0. So I want to skip the gray room in 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a room in 2 where you can pretty easily farm bombs using a glitch. But here we lay a bomb, we load the recorder, and the boss becomes vulnerable. That bomb winds up doing 4 damage to the boss right away, and then we can stab it 4 times and be on our way.
Yeah, that was a pretty good vibe. Pretty happy with that.
So the next dungeon that we'll be going to after this is level 2. And we'll need to reach around 140 rupees shortly after level 2 to purchase both the bait, which is required for level 7, and the arrows, which is required for level 6. So RC is going to be picking up a 100 secret here, get him up to 107 rupees, and then he'll be doing a neat little trick called the world wrap, where he moves from the left side of the world over to the right side. So that world wrap is coming up in just a second.
Yeah, hopefully I don't accidentally go back to the Lost Woods. Alright, we're safe.
Alright, great.
There's
another heart container, and we'll pick up another one using the raft up here. So that gets us to 10 heart containers, and again, our goal is 12 to pick up the magical sword, which we'll do after level 7.
Yeah, the magical sword will give me essentially quad damage.
So 107 rupees. We're very close to our goal. There's a Armos secret that we'll be picking up shortly that gives us 30 rupees, and then we'll only have to get a couple in level 3 to be done. Or sorry, level 2 to be done. Having additional rupees is handy. We might end up needing them in one room in level 7. So rupees are used as ammunition for the bow and arrows.
Yeah, but ideally I'm going to be using bombs. It'll depend on whether or not I get hit going into the room.
Yeah, and getting hit on the way to that room in 7 is very common. Good use of the candle there to clear out the ropes quickly.
Yeah, this is the degree of room that I'm not going to be farming bombs out of. Just going to go through.
Yeah, this room's interesting because one of the Gorilas is the ringleader, and so if you kill him, then all of the other Gorilas die. And the room is really good for picking up bombs because if one of the Gorilas had a boomerang in flight and dropped any item, then when the boomerang returns, it turns that item into a bomb. And Drone just did the Moldorm room. Moldorms are one of the more technically complex enemies in the game. There are a lot of ways to do them slowly, and the ways to do them fast are extremely intricate.
Yeah, I got a really nice pattern there.
Now we're clearing out Dodongo. So Dodongo either dies if you feed him 2 bombs, or you can get him kind of in the smoke of the bomb, and then he'll be vulnerable to your sword. And if you kill him that way by stabbing him, then he'll drop a bomb item. And so that's the preferred way to do it. It's also faster than having him slowly die from eating the bombs.
So that was actually really good too. It's more than 10 seconds faster than my PB2.
Skipping the recorder.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, my bad.
There's a trick that we can do there where we wind up riding both the tornado and the raft at the same time, and it sends us one screen northwest of the dungeon that we were going to go to. Now on this screen, with the shopkeeper, it used to be the case that we'd enter the shop and have to wait a couple seconds for the shopkeeper to spawn, so there was this long delay. And that was because one of those levers outside the shop set a really large timer, and the shopkeeper uses that same timer and would wait for it to expire. So then we started doing what was called the lever strat. We would kill a lever, the lever that set the timer, and that would clear the timer, and then the shopkeeper would spawn right away. But there was some risk to that, and then we discovered a better strategy called the tricorder. So the next time that we use the recorder to warp to a location, we have to blow it twice. And so instead of blowing it twice there, we can blow it once and play it at that shop. Now when you're playing the recorder, the timers in the game are still running, so that timer that was set by the lever enemy will run out while the recorder is being played. And then also the Armo statue is waking up, and so its timer will run out. And so all of these 3 things you have to wait for get combined into one. So now in level 7, we're in the river room. This is a very difficult room, and RC has played it perfectly. So ideally, you get in there with a high count, and you clear the room quickly with bombs, and you force a bomb off of one of the enemies. And the problem is, you're very likely to get hit by an enemy on your way into that room. So he got in there with a high count and was able to pull off the strategy perfectly. If he'd gotten hit, then he would probably be using arrows instead, and so he'd have 9 shots because he has 9 rupees right now, and those arrows do 2 damage apiece. If he runs out of rupees, then he has to rely on his sword, and I believe the room has a bubble in it, which can disable your sword. Yeah, so there's a lot that can go wrong there. Level 7 as a whole is not so much of a combat dungeon. It's kind of the game's puzzle dungeon, where you have to figure out how to get through it. And it has a very high bomb requirement. You have to have 7 bombs going through this dungeon in order to clear it without problems.
This guy's giving me the jukes.
Indeed. Yeah, this dig dogger, unlike the one in 5, will spawn 3 little dig pups after you blow the recorder. So clearing it with your sword is not really much of an option in the speedrun. You really need to spend 2 bombs there. And then there are 5 walls that you have to bomb through. Here we're in a reverse C room with wall masters. You have to clear all 5 wall masters before you can push a block to continue. The bubbles can be really trolly, as you see here, because there's not really anything you can do about them. You just kind of hope that they're not going to target you, and that you can get away from them if they're chasing you. And if they bump you, then you have to switch to arrows in order to clear out those wall masters, which wastes time in the menu, unfortunately.
Well, saved.
Yeah, so oftentimes you'll see people leave this dungeon with 0 bombs, and that's usually okay. You do need to have a bomb early in the next dungeon to proceed through it, but there are usually bomb opportunities on the way, so there aren't that many runs that end up dying because of leaving 7 with 0 bombs, but we have 3, so we're in really good shape.
And in no reset run, it's not really tragic to just go around. It just means you do have to farm a key later, because you have to spend an extra key to go around.
Yeah, so now leaving 7, we'll be picking up the magical sword at this point, so we'll be doing 4 damage every sword swing instead of just 1. So that's a huge change. The combat's going to be way faster. And the remaining dungeons are 6, 8, and 9. All of these are combat-heavy dungeons. 6 and 9 both have a lot of Wizrobes, which are pretty strong enemies. They do a lot of damage and soak up a lot of damage. And level 8 has a lot of blue dark nuts. A lot of blue dark nuts in individual rooms. So those are tough rooms, and you want to get through those rooms as fast as you can. Because they will bop you around a lot, and there's definitely a high chance of dying there. So in this red Wizrobe room, we pause in the doorway briefly to get all of the Wizrobes to spawn horizontally from Link. Normally they spawn in compass directions from Link, and so if you stand in the doorway, up and down are blocked, and they have to spawn on the same row as you. Here we have the Belfry. Clear out all the keys, get the key, and move on. Ideally you have beam swords there. And now we're going into the magical breakfast room. So various Wizrobes, likes, and a bubble, of course. The bubbles are kind of Link's greatest nemesis in the speedrun. But this has gone really smoothly.
Yeah, for not having beam sword, that was a pretty solid room.
Here's where we bomb right, and you notice that RC stabbed rightward right after entering the room, and that's because Wizrobes can spawn immediately to his right, and he doesn't know if they're going to be there or not, so he does a stab right away just in case they are. Now we're going into the Magical Breakfast 2 room. Just more Wizrobes and likes. Another combat-heavy room. It's just going very smoothly.
I tried to take a damage boost off the bubble there just for you, Fisk, but I'm not getting the pattern.
Yeah, I'm always suggesting that if you're being chased by a bubble toward a staircase, you should just bounce off the bubble.
Alright, Goma's a pretty straightforward boss.
Yep, one arrow to the eye. And there we go, easy.
Alright, pretty good 6, under 3 minutes. Which is surprising because I had no beam sword until like the middle of the Magical Breakfast one.
Mm-hmm. And resources are great at this point. With 8 bombs, we don't have to worry about farming any bombs on the way to the next dungeon, which is level 8. And
yeah,
we'll be there right away.
Yeah, 8 has 2 combat-heavy blue Darknet rooms that I'm going to be playing pretty safe. I don't want to take a death here. It'll just be a big waste of time, so it'll be a few extra seconds while I take safe approaches to the Darknets as opposed to more aggressive strats that I might take in a PB run.
Alright, so we'll bomb up through this Manhandla room, and we can ignore the Manhandla, unless he gets in our way. And so yeah, here's Blue Lagoon 1. With all of the Dark Nuts and the Fireballs and usually Beam Swords, this winds up being a very laggy room, which is why it's called Blue Lagoon. But it went pretty smoothly. There's a connector room here before the next Blue Lagoon. Because Gyptos like to get in our way, unfortunately. Using a bomb to try to get some more damage down quickly.
Hey, a beam sword.
Yeah, back up to full health. It's very common to leave these rooms with not very much health at all. Big refills are frequent in this dungeon. And nice boost off the gift.
Yeah, I really had no choice there.
Any health that you lose in a dungeon results in time loss when you complete that dungeon, except in level 9. So like you pick up the Triforce at the end and have to wait for the health to refill. Here we have a 4-headed Gleeok, so this is just a stronger version of the level 4 2-headed Gleeok that we saw earlier. But since we have the magical sword, it goes much, much faster than the other one did.
I was able to farm a bomb pack there, so I won't be hurting for bombs in 9, unless I really mess up. I'm going to try to keep Beam Sword all the way through to Reverse C, though, because there's a very efficient strat that I can do if I can maintain my Beam Sword, which I need full health for, if we haven't already mentioned that.
Yeah, so we're headed straight to 9 now. Not too much interesting stuff going on the way, since we don't have to worry about any resources.
The rock slide, Fisk, the rock slide.
There is the rock slide, yes. We try to leave this screen on the left half instead of the right half because it makes
Works every time.
Yeah, every time. Makes it slightly less likely that the rocks will spawn on the left side, based on the behavior of Link and Anti-Link. Because Anti-Link is a little bit different than Link in the way that the game treats it. So now we're entering level 9. We got all those Triforce pieces earlier that let us get past this old man at the start. I think we'll be getting a key in this room. Yeah.
Yes.
And then here are Landmolas, which are a pretty difficult enemy, especially the blue Landmolas, but we can skip right by them by using a block glitch, which is the exact same glitch as that screen scroll glitch you've been seeing throughout the run. This spiral room can be a little bit slow, depending on how the like-likes move. They can get in your way, you might have to kill all of them, like RC had to here. Ideally, you stab them and walk through them while they have iframes, because when the enemy's invulnerable, they can't hurt you. And you'll hopefully see that here. What we try to do in this room, yeah, that's unfortunate. Patra there can move in ways that you can't really deal with, but usually he moves in a more friendly way where you can walk through the door while stabbing, and you'll hit the little like satellite that orbits the Patra, and that satellite then will have iframes, and so you can walk right through it without taking damage.
So I'm going to try to set up a fairy. See if I can make this work. Uh-oh, get out of the way. I still need to kill 3 more enemies.
If you ever watch RC stream this game, he has his own tracker for items that he's made. So he knows how many enemies he's killed at any given time, and what items those enemies can drop, and whether he's set up for a forced 5 rupee or bomb or fairy.
Okay, I'm not sure this is saving any time, but
it
we
was
got
certainly
the fairy.
not safe, but all right. So, well, the strategy didn't quite work out. Ideally, you would clip up into that into one of the blocks of the reverse C there, and
That's pretty good backup, though.
Yeah, it worked out well for the clip not working. So here we get the silver arrows, which is required to kill Ganon. You have to stab Ganon 4 times with the magical sword, and then if you don't have the silver arrows, then you won't be able to kill him there, and GG for you. But we've got the silver arrows, and we'll be able to complete the game, so now it's just a matter of getting to Ganon.
And not dying.
And not dying. Yeah, Ganon does a lot of damage. If you touch him, then it's 4 hearts of damage, which is pretty substantial.
Ugh.
Yeah,
This is taking forever.
Yep. When you're inside a like-like, when you stab, you do damage to the like-like that you're in. And when you kill it, if there's another like-like there, you'll just immediately get hit by that one and take more damage. So he was waiting for the like-likes to move off of him so that he could escape the one he was trapped in. This is think, the last combat room aside from the Patra before we
Yeah.
make it to the final boss. And that went pretty smoothly, so we're doing well there. Here, if you're coming through on one heart, things can be really bad, depending on where the red whiz rope spawns. It spawned in a bad place there, so RC had to take a bump off of the track in order to boost him over to where he wanted to be. And if you got one heart, then that's often a place where the run can end. Here's a Patra that we have to kill in order to get to Ganon. Yeah, there are fast Patra strats to be able to clear this thing really quickly, but it costs a lot of health to do.
Yeah, and I really don't want to take a death to Ganon right here.
Yep. So we can survive one body blow from Ganon. And he's escaped the stun lock. So this one's a little dicey, but we got it.
I blame it on my headphone setup. I don't have the normal audio going on. All right, we did it.
Yeah, there's time. That went really well. Fantastic.
Yeah. Aside from the beginning, which went really slow, I went up and farmed the bomb in the horizontal court shoot room, and maybe I should have just killed the dark nuts in the raft room instead. Probably would have been faster. But yeah, just a lot of slow farming is what hurt the run early. But then the end game was pretty good. Mid and end game were pretty good.
All right, well, so for those watching, if you're interested in Zelda speedrunning at all, we have a community wiki at redcandle.us. It's filled with tons of information about the game. We've also got a couple healthy randomizer communities around this game, Zelda 1 Randomizer and Zelda 1 Metroid 1 Combo Randomizer. So if you're interested at all, please check those out. And thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for running the game. Up next, we have Enchantress of Numbers with Zelda 2, so stick around.